Children across the world are making some pretty poor choices when it comes to using their technology. Sexting and bullying are now a part of our everyday language, which is pretty sad and pretty scary. Join me via Zoom with tips on keeping our kids safe in today's digital age and with a warning of the consequences that could be awaiting our kids' poor choices is the president of Be Sure Cyber Training, retired detective Rich Wistocki. Detective, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's learn a little bit about how you got into this now kind of mission that you're on to protect our kids online.
Yeah, so I was 28 years with the Naperville, Illinois Police Department, and my last 23 years was in high technology crimes and the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force.
Well, so we can trust that you know exactly what you're talking about here. It's unfortunate that right now in our community here at one of our local middle schools, a student has made a poor choice with sending out some inappropriate photos, and now there's going to be some consequences as well as an investigation. Can we start with where this all starts? Because I think a lot of this could be on the parents for not knowing what their kids are doing online. How do we as moms and dads kind of navigate that whole situation?
Okay, so I retired in 2018 and I wanted to do 30 years, but I didn't make it. I did something called a TED Talk, and that changed my life. So now I'm in schools all over the country. I teach about 300,000 students a year. This year, ending last week in Oregon, it was my 60th school. Out of those 300,000 kids I taught this year, I have had 32 students come to me after my presentation telling me that they were victims of what I was just explaining. So that means I had to open up approximately 25 criminal cases to get the person harming these children under control. So how does it start? Well, it starts with the parents. You're absolutely right. Parents are responsible. And when I teach about 4,000 parents a year. When I start my parent presentation. And by the way, only 1% of the parent will show up to a internet safety presentation at their school. 1%. So if I have 1,000 kids in a school, probably less than that. Probably 50 parents will show up. That's it. And one internet predator can have 250 victims in their lifetime. And there's two reasons for that. The first reason is that parents suffer from a deadly disease. It's called the NMK syndrome.
What is that?
Not my kid.
Oh, not my kid. Okay. That's exactly what I was thinking, because you
Yes.
assume my kid's so good. They know the parameters of online safety,
Yes.
and they know not to do that or not to send that.
Yes.
We just assume.
Yes. Yes, and the second reason why internet predators are so successful is because law enforcement officers, police officers, do not know how to take a cybercrime report. And they'll say horrible things like it's a civil matter, or it's a family matter, or just delete it, it'll go away. Or the guy that handles that works tomorrow. So when they do things like that, that allows that predator to get away another day. That's why they have 250 victims. So I'm proposing a bill through Senator Maurice out of Rockford, and I want every law enforcement officer to have 8 hours of cybercrime report taking in the academy. So that's where it all starts. That's why predators are so successful. So let me tell you the reasons why kids get involved in the situation that you're explaining. When I first talk to my parents, when they show up, right, I tell them this: you are not only responsible for your children's food, clothing, shelter, and education, you are responsible for their technology as well. In our state, I don't care if Nana, Nonu, Tia, Tiu, Grandma, Grandpa bought them that new iPhone 14 for their birthday. They don't own it. The parents allow them to have it or not. And the second rule is there is no such thing as privacy for children, all the way up until they're 18. You see, when you have parents allowing the children to run the roost, that's when problems happen. And I'll give you the basic foundation of why kids give out pictures.
Why?
So, in order for you to have a TikTok, a Discord, a Snapchat, or an Instagram, you have to be 13. Okay. So then why, when I go teach fourth and fifth graders, how old are they? 9, 10, 11 years old, right? And then I'll ask the fourth, fifth, and sixth graders, how many of you have Snapchat? Yeah. How many got Instagram? Yeah. How many guys got Snapchat? Yeah. I was like, wait a minute. You got to be 13 in order to be in there. How do you have it? And they have to lie about their age. So here's what happens. And our kids are not the best mathematicians, right? Probably because of poor math, but I digress. So what happens is they're like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I don't care what my parents think. I'm going to create my TikTok. Oh, wait. I got to put my date of birth in. Let's see. I was born in 2012. Do I go up with my date of birth to be 13 or I go down my date of birth to be 13? Oh, heck with it. I'll just put in 2000. That'll get me in. I don't want to figure out the math.
And there are so
How
many.
How old are they today?
Well, right. But there are so many apps today.
They're born in 2000. No, listen. They're born in 2000, right? They're 23 today.
Yeah.
So now I have a bunch of 9, 10, 11-year-olds running around as 23-year-olds.
Yeah. And
who do you think is going to come talk to them? Adults. Who's going to send them inappropriate pictures? Adults.
Yeah.
Who's going to ask them to create inappropriate pictures? Adults, because they're 23. And the biggest problem parents have when they say my kid would never, they don't understand that they have a 23-year-old in their house. And when you allow the common denominator amongst every sextortion case, when you allow your child to charge their devices in their rooms at night, that's when they get victimized.
Yeah. Okay, you also mentioned a 3P test. What is that?
Yeah, so what I tell the kids, before you send out any TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, think about your 3Ps. If you were to first play it for your parent, your pastor, or your principal, what would they say about it first?
Hopefully they say, oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, that's so cute. I didn't know you can dance like that. Go ahead and send it. Who cares? But if you can hear any one of those 3Ps saying, why would you do that? Why would you embarrass your family in our church like that? Understand that can be used against you in a sextortion issue.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the consequences, because a lot of kids, I don't think they understand the repercussions that await them after they send that video or that picture, because once it's out there, and then there can be serious consequences that are going to affect them the rest of their life.
Correct. So I have created something called juvenilejusticeonline.org, and I created it for those consequences for cyberbullying and vaping. I currently have over 10,000, 5,000 law enforcement, 5,000 school officials using this nationwide. We did about 650 diversions this past school year. Unfortunately, half of them were for vaping. And we treat vaping like an addiction, as it is. But when it comes to sending nudes, sexting, sextortion, here are the consequences that we give kids. So I wrote the state of Illinois mandatory school resource officer legislation, and where school resource officers have to have a certification. And part of that requirement is they have to be certified juvenile officers in the state of Illinois. So a juvenile officer has the ability to give something called a station adjustment, or also a diversion. So I created this program where not only where the kids get consequences like apology letters, they have to do 10 hours of community service. I want them to write a report, a 5-page report on the dangers of sexting and something called CVIP, Child Victim Identification Protocol at the National Center, to show them what's going to happen with their picture. It's going to be put in a database, And if anybody has it for the rest of their lives, they're going to be arrested for having it. And then the FBI has to meet with them, the FBI Victim Services Unit, to give them emotional support and to get a impact statement in case anybody's caught with their pictures. And then I want them to go to see a school social worker or mental health professional on self-esteem counseling. And let me tell you this, the reason why that is so important, I've had 2 high school students, one in Chino, California, and one in Bridgewater, New Jersey, that had disclosed to their social worker that mom's boyfriend had been molesting them. Had we have not done this diversion or station adjustment, we would have never have known. So it's much bigger than just taking pictures. And not only do we give the student those consequences, and plus you have to watch a video on one of my videos and take a test, we concentrate on the parents. We make the parents watch our documentary called Childhood 2.0 and YouTube. That is what elementary, junior high, and high school students are doing behind their parents' backs. We give them free Bark monitoring software, and then they have to watch my parent presentation. So it's not only about training the kid and giving the student consequences, it's about making their parents more responsible for their kids' technology.
Well, yeah, because I mean, it takes a whole village to keep our kids safe for sure. And nobody wants their child to be registered as a sex offender at 15 years old. So it's crazy times we're living in.
I wrote the legislation in 2009, the sexting legislation, where that doesn't happen. So I want to make sure that kids are not being made sex offenders, and that's why I wrote that sexting statute.
Yeah. Okay, well, we appreciate your time today and sharing all of these great tips with us and trying to make the world better for our youth here and helping them to make some smart decisions when it comes to their technology. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time today.
Sure, and I'll see you all next school year.
Okay, absolutely. It's Detective Rich Wistocki. He has 2 great websites for you to check out, which we will definitely link up at our website, CILiving.tv, after today's show. And again, we appreciate his time this afternoon here with us on CI Living.